The decision was made in secret. While the aliens waited for humanity's answer, Earth began the largest military buildup in its history. General Han Jae-won stood in a bunker 50 feet underground, watching screens that showed construction happening all over the world. But this wasn't ordinary building. Humans were creating weapons and defenses the aliens had never seen before. How are we hiding all this from their scanners? President Lee asked during one of their secret meetings. Dr. Song Mi-young smiled for the first time in weeks. Remember the quantum research I was doing? I figured out how to create pocket dimensions, small spaces that exist outside normal reality. We're building everything inside these pockets. She showed them a demonstration. A massive factory seemed to appear from nowhere, then vanish again. The aliens can scan our normal space all they want. They'll never detect what's happening in the quantum pockets. Captain Lee Sang-ho was in charge of designing humanity's new weapons. His team had been working around the clock, creating things that seemed impossible. The aliens think in terms of energy and matter, he explained to his engineers. They can stop our missiles, block our lasers, even shut down our nuclear reactors. But they've never dealt with weapons that attack the basic forces of reality itself. On the main workbench sat something that looked like a simple metal tube. This is a gravity lance. It creates a focused beam that makes gravity 1,000 times stronger in a small area. Any ship hit by it will be crushed by its own weight. Another device looked like a crystal sphere. Temporal disruptor. It speeds up time around the target. A ship hit by this will age hundreds of years in seconds. The metal will rust away. The systems will break down. The crew will die of old age. The most frightening weapon was barely visible, just a shimmer in the air like heat waves. Quantum entanglement bomb. When it explodes, it links every atom in the target to atoms scattered across space. The ship doesn't just get destroyed, it gets spread across the entire galaxy instantly. Dr. Bae Hyun-sik had been studying the alien technology, looking for weaknesses. What he found was surprising. They're incredibly advanced, but they think in a very limited way, he told the research team. All their technology is based on controlling energy fields. They've never had to deal with an enemy that attacks on multiple levels of reality at once. He pulled up diagrams of alien ship designs. Look at their shields. They can stop energy weapons, physical projectiles, even nuclear explosions. But they have no defense against gravitational attacks or temporal weapons. Commander Park Ji-ho was working on strategy. How do you fight an enemy with superior numbers and technology? We can't match their firepower, he told the military planning committee. But we can be unpredictable. Every species they've conquered fought them the same way, with energy weapons and physical attacks. We're going to fight them with physics itself. His plan was simple but deadly. Human ships would appear suddenly from quantum pockets, attack with reality-bending weapons, then disappear again before the aliens could respond. Hit-and-run tactics, but on a level they've never seen. We attack their ships, their bases, their supply lines. Keep them confused and scared. Meanwhile, Dr. Yu Seoa was studying the aliens themselves, trying to understand how they thought. They've been successful for so long that they can't imagine failing, she reported. Every species they've met has either surrendered or been destroyed using the same tactics. They don't know how to adapt to something completely new. She had been analyzing recordings of conversations with the alien envoys. They show no real emotions, no creativity, no ability to think outside their established patterns. They're like a computer program, very powerful but only able to run the same code over and over. The construction continued in secret. Orbital platforms appeared in hidden dimensions above Earth. Underground factories churned out weapons that violated the known laws of physics. Military bases were built in folded space, invisible to any scanner the aliens possessed. Captain Moon Hee-jin was training the pilots who would fly humanity's new fighters. These ships were small and crude-looking compared to alien vessels, but they carried weapons that could tear holes in reality itself. Remember, she told her pilots, these ships can do things that are impossible. Don't think like normal pilots. Think like you're fighting with the forces of creation themselves. The fighters could teleport instantly from one location to another, phase through solid matter, and even attack targets that existed in different time streams. Admiral Shin Kyung-soo was preparing the naval side of the defense. His ships would use the ocean floors and even the planet's core as hiding places, emerging only to strike. We're not just fighting in 3 dimensions, he explained to his captains. We're fighting across multiple realities at once. The aliens might control space, but we're going to control time, gravity, and the basic structure of existence itself. As the 30-day deadline approached, the aliens became more insistent. High Mediator Veltar visited President Lee more frequently, her gentle smile never changing. "We sense great anxiety among your people," she said during one meeting. "This is natural. Change is always frightening, but think of the peace that awaits you." Lee nodded politely. "We are still considering your generous offer." "Perhaps we can help ease your concerns," Veltar said. "Would you like to see what happens to worlds that try to resist our guidance?" She waved her hand and images filled the air. Dead planets, burned cities, empty space where star systems used to be. The Kethmar thought they could fight us. The Velkari believed their weapons made them strong. The Threnodi trusted in their fortress worlds. None of them exist anymore. "I understand," Lee said calmly, even though his heart was racing. "Good. We would hate to see humanity make the same mistakes. You seem like such a promising species." After Veltar left, Lee immediately called his military commanders. "How much longer do we need?" he asked. "2 more days," Admiral Park replied. "Then we'll be ready." "For what exactly?" "To show the galaxy that some species don't surrender. Some species fight back, and some species win." Lieutenant Colonel Oh Minwoo was working on the final piece of the puzzle: Earth's defense grid. Thousands of hidden generators would create a network of force fields unlike anything the aliens had ever encountered. "Their weapons work by overwhelming enemy defenses with raw power," he explained. "But our shields don't absorb energy. They redirect it through dimensional portals. Every shot they fire at us will come back at them from a different direction." The night before the deadline, Earth's leaders gathered one final time. In less than 24 hours, they would give the aliens their answer. "Are we really going to do this?" President Lee asked. "Fight beings who have destroyed entire civilizations?" General Han stood up. "Sir, we have 2 choices. Surrender and become slaves, or fight and maybe die free." "I know which one I choose." Admiral Park nodded. "The aliens think they know us. They think we're just another species that will bow down when threatened. Tomorrow, we show them what humans really are." Dr. Song Mi-young activated her final display, a real-time view of Earth's hidden defenses. Thousands of weapon platforms, millions of troops, and technology that bent the rules of reality itself. "We're as ready as we'll ever be," she said. Outside, the alien ships continued their patient watch, unaware that beneath them, humanity was preparing to rewrite the rules of galactic warfare. The age of peaceful conquest was about to end. Tomorrow, the galaxy would learn that some species cannot be tamed. The morning sky over Seoul turned silver when the ships arrived. Admiral Park Tae-ho was drinking his coffee in the command center when every screen in the room started flashing red. The radar showed something impossible: massive objects appearing from nowhere, hanging in the air like floating mountains above every major city on Earth. "Sir, we have contact," Lieutenant Kim Do-young called out, his voice tight with worry. "Multiple ships over New York, London, Tokyo, Moscow. They're everywhere." Tae-ho set down his cup and walked to the main display. The ships were beautiful and terrifying at the same time. They looked like giant crystals that caught and bent light in ways that hurt to look at. Each one was the size of a small city, and they hung perfectly still in the sky as if gravity meant nothing to them. The first message came 30 minutes later, broadcast on every frequency. "In every language, people of Earth, we come in peace. We are the Galactic Harmony Consortium. We wish to speak with your leaders." President Lee Dong-wook was in his office when the call came. He had been watching the news reports, seeing the panic in the streets, the traffic jams as people tried to flee the cities. Now he found himself staring at a face unlike anything he had ever seen. The alien was tall and graceful, with skin that seemed to shine like polished silver. Her eyes were large and bright, filled with what looked like kindness. When she spoke, her voice was soft and musical. "I am High Mediator Veltar of the Ninth Circle," she said. "Please do not be afraid. We have traveled far to bring you wonderful news." Dr. Kim Sora was one of the first humans allowed aboard the alien ship. As Earth's top scientist who studied life from other worlds, she was chosen to represent humanity in these first meetings. What she saw inside the ship made her gasp. The walls seemed to be made of light itself, glowing softly and changing color as she walked past. The aliens moved without making any sound, their feet barely touching the floor. Everything was smooth and perfect, like nothing humans had ever built. "Your technology is amazing," Sora said to the alien guide walking beside her. "This is nothing," the alien replied with what might have been a smile. "Wait until you see what we can offer your people." In the main meeting room, High Mediator Veltar explained their mission. She stood before a group of Earth's leaders, her hands folded peacefully in front of her. "We represent 10,000 different species," she said, "all living together in perfect harmony across the galaxy. There are no wars, no fighting, no suffering. Every world is peaceful and happy." The human leaders looked at each other. It sounded too good to be true. "How is that possible?" asked President Lee. "We learned long ago that all conflict comes from one source," Veltar replied. "The ability to make war. When intelligent species give up violence completely, they can finally know true peace." She waved her hand and images filled the air above them. Beautiful cities on distant worlds. Aliens of all shapes and sizes working together, children playing in gardens under foreign suns. "This could be Earth's future," Veltar said. "But first you must prove you are ready for peace." General Han Jae-won, who had been quiet until now, leaned forward. "What exactly are you asking us to do?" "It is simple," Veltar said. "Destroy all your weapons. Shut down your armies. Remove everything you use to hurt each other. We call this the pacification protocol. Every member of our consortium has done this." The room fell silent. The humans looked at the images of peaceful alien worlds, then at each other. "And if we refuse?" asked President Lee. Veltar's expression didn't change, but something flickered in her bright eyes. "Why would you refuse peace? Why would anyone choose violence over harmony?" That night, Captain Choi Min-ho sat in his office at Space Defense Headquarters, reading through the files the aliens had shared about their history. Something bothered him about the records. The consortium claimed to have existed for thousands of years, but their historical records only went back about 500 years. Before that, there were mentions of other species, other civilizations, but no details about what had happened to them. He found references to the Velkari, described as a proud warrior race, then nothing. The Threnodi were mentioned as master builders and fighters, then they vanished from all records. The Kethmar, the Zulthari, the Mordak, all described briefly, then gone. Where did they all go? Minho wondered aloud. His aide, Lieutenant Park Ye-un, looked up from her computer. "Sir, I've been wondering the same thing. I've been trying to find more information about these missing species, but it's like they just disappeared." Minho stood and walked to the window. Outside, he could see one of the alien ships hanging in the night sky, its crystal surface glowing softly. It looked peaceful, beautiful even. "Keep digging," he told Ye-un. "Something doesn't feel right about this." The next morning brought more meetings. The aliens were patient, never pushing, always smiling. They showed more images of their perfect worlds, told more stories of peaceful cooperation between different species. Dr. Bae Hyun-sik, a physicist who studied energy and matter, was allowed to examine some of their technology. What he found amazed and worried him. "Their power systems are incredible," he told his team later. "They can manipulate gravity, convert matter into energy, even bend space itself. But there's something else." He pulled up his readings on the main screen. These systems aren't just for building or transportation. They're designed for control. Every piece of their technology has the ability to suppress other forms of energy. "What does that mean?" asked his assistant. "It means they could shut down every piece of technology on Earth if they wanted to," Hyun-sik replied. "Our power plants, our computers, our weapons, everything would just stop working." As the days passed, more human scientists and officials were invited to visit the alien ships. They all came back with the same report. The aliens were friendly, their technology was amazing, and their offer of peace seemed genuine. But in secret meetings, Earth's leaders were starting to have doubts. The missing species in the historical records, the suppression technology, the way the aliens avoided certain questions about their past. High Mediator Veltar seemed to sense their hesitation. At the end of the week, she made a final announcement. "We understand this is a big decision," she said. "We will give you 30 days to consider our offer. After that, we must have your answer." Her smile never wavered, but her words carried a weight that made everyone in the room uncomfortable. "We hope you will choose wisely." 3 weeks after the aliens arrived, Lieutenant Commander Yoon Ji-ae made a discovery that changed everything. She had been working night shifts at the communications center, listening to radio signals from space. The aliens said they weren't sending any messages. But GA had found strange patterns in the background noise that surrounded their ships. "It's definitely a signal," she told her supervisor, Colonel Nam Soo-jin, "but it's hidden inside what looks like random static. Someone really doesn't want us to hear this." Soo-jin looked at the wave patterns on GI's screen. "Can you decode it?" "I think so." "Give me a few more hours." What GA found when she finally broke the code made her hands shake. The aliens had been scanning everything on Earth. Every military base, every city, every person. They had detailed maps of human settlements and were rating each location based on something they called resistance potential. The worst part was how they talked about humans. The messages referred to people as biological resources and labor units. Earth was listed as acquisition target 3-1, with a note that said Category 5 integration. Recommended. GA ran to find Soo-jin, clutching the printed messages. "Colonel, we need to see this immediately." Soo-jin read through the decoded transmissions, her face growing darker with each page. "Get me Admiral Park on secure line. Now." Dr. Bae Hyun-sik was having his own disturbing discoveries. The aliens had given him access to their technical databases, claiming it would help him understand their peaceful technology. But Hyun-sik had learned to read between the lines. "Look at this," he told Dr. Song Mi-young, pointing to energy readings on his screen. "They call this a harmony field generator, but look at what it actually does." Song studied the data. "It's a suppression field. It would shut down neural activity in any brain exposed to it." "Exactly."
"And this thing they call a unity broadcaster?"
"It's a mind control device. Every piece of their so-called peaceful technology is actually a weapon designed to control other species." Meanwhile, Park Ye-yoon had been working day and night to find information about the missing species mentioned in the alien records. What she discovered was worse than anyone had imagined. "I found fragments of old records," she reported to Captain Choi Min-ho, "hidden in their databases probably by mistake. The Velkari didn't just disappear. They were destroyed." She pulled up images on her computer. Broken worlds, dead cities, entire star systems turned to ash. The Velkari refused the pacification protocol. The consortium fleet arrived 6 months later and wiped out every Velkari world. Billions of people gone. And it wasn't quick. The records show they used something called systematic resource extraction. They stripped the worlds bare while the population slowly died. Min-ho felt sick. "What about the others? The Threnody, the Kethmar? Same pattern. Every species that refused to give up their weapons was completely destroyed. Not just defeated, erased. Like they never existed. The pieces were falling into place. The consortium wasn't a peaceful federation. It was a machine for conquest that had perfected the art of making species surrender without a fight." Dr. Kim So-ra had started to notice things during her visits to the alien ship. The crew was always polite, always smiling, but she began to see the patterns in their behavior. "They never show emotion," she told her research team. "Real emotion, I mean. It's like they're all reading from the same script." "And have you noticed how they react when we ask about their history?" Her assistant nodded. "They change the subject every time. Very smoothly, but they definitely don't want to talk about their past." Sora had also noticed something else. The crew members I've been talking to, they're not all from the same species. But they all act exactly the same way. They use the same phrases, the same gestures. It's like their personalities have been erased. President Lee Dong-wook called an emergency meeting with his top advisors. The evidence was mounting, but it was still hard to believe. "Are we sure about this?" he asked Admiral Park. "These aliens seem so peaceful." "That's the point, sir," Park replied. "They've perfected the appearance of peace. But look at the facts. Every species that refused their offer was destroyed. Their technology is designed for control and suppression, and they've been scanning our defenses from day one." General Han Jae-won spread photos across the conference table. "Our satellites have been tracking their movements. The ships they showed us aren't the only ones. There are hundreds more hidden behind the moon, cloaked by their technology." "How many?" Lee asked. "At least 300 ships. Maybe more. Enough to destroy every city on Earth." The room fell quiet as everyone absorbed this information. "So what do we do?" Lee finally asked. "If we refuse their offer, they'll attack. If we accept, they'll control us completely." "There's a third option," said Admiral Park, "but it's dangerous." "What do you mean?" "We pretend to go along with their plan while we prepare for war. Make them think we're considering their offer while we get ready to fight." Dr. Song Mi-young leaned forward. I've been working on something that might help. The aliens' technology is based on energy manipulation, but I think we can build systems they won't recognize as weapons. Explain. They understand matter conversion and energy fields because that's how their technology works. But humans have been developing quantum mechanics, temporal physics, and dimensional theory. These are areas they seem to have ignored. General Han nodded slowly. You're talking about building weapons they won't see coming. Exactly. We use their blind spots against them. High Mediator Veltar continued her diplomatic meetings, seemingly unaware that humans had discovered the truth. She spoke about peace and cooperation, while her ships continued their secret scans of Earth's defenses. We hope you are close to a decision, she told President Lee during their latest meeting. The Consortium Council is eager to welcome humanity into our family of worlds. We're still discussing it, Lee replied carefully. Such an important decision requires time, of course, but please remember, the offer of peaceful integration will not remain open forever. Other species have waited too long to accept our guidance, and the results were unfortunate. The threat was clear, even wrapped in gentle words. That night, in a bunker deep beneath Seoul, Earth's leaders made their decision. They would not surrender. They would not allow humanity to become another forgotten species in the consortium's history. But they also knew they couldn't win a direct fight against such advanced technology. They would have to be smarter, more creative, and more ruthless than any species the aliens had encountered before. How long do we have? President Lee asked. The 30-day deadline gives us 1 more week, Admiral Park replied. After that, they'll expect an answer. Then we give them one, Lee said grimly. Just not the answer they're expecting. Outside, the alien ships continued their patient watch over Earth cities, their crystal hulls glowing softly in the night sky. Their crews believed they had already won, that humanity would follow the same pattern as every other species they had encountered. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The ultimatum came exactly 30 days after first contact. High Mediator Veltar appeared on every screen around the world, her silver face calm and patient as always. Behind her, through the windows of her ship, Earth could see hundreds of alien vessels uncloaking in the sky. People of Earth, she said, her musical voice carrying a note of sadness. We had hoped you would choose wisdom. We had hoped you would join our family of peaceful worlds, but we sense resistance in your hearts. President Lee Dong-wook sat in the emergency command center, surrounded by his military leaders. They watched Veltar's broadcast with grim faces. You have 48 hours to accept our guidance, Veltar continued. After that time, we will be forced to help you find peace through other methods. We do not wish to harm you, but we cannot allow violence to continue poisoning your world. The broadcast ended. For a moment, the command center was completely quiet. Then Admiral Park Tae-ho stood up. All units, this is command. Execute Order 7-7. What happened next lasted exactly 18 minutes and changed the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The first strike came from orbit. Colonel Jung In-ho's platforms had been waiting in folded space above the alien fleet, invisible to every scanner the consortium possessed. The quantum lance beams fired without warning, focused streams of gravity that crushed matter at the atomic level. High Mediator Veltar was speaking to her council when her flagship simply ceased to exist. One moment it was there, a massive crystal ship hanging in the sky. The next moment it was a ball of compressed metal no larger than a marble, falling toward Earth's atmosphere where it burned up like a shooting star. Target eliminated, Jung reported calmly. Moving to secondary targets, Captain Moon Hai-jin led the first wave of fighter attacks. Her squadron materialized inside the alien formation, appearing from dimensional pockets as if they had always been there. The aliens had sensors that could detect ships approaching from light years away, but they had no defense against vessels that attacked from outside normal spacetime. The human fighters were small and crude-looking compared to the sleek alien vessels, but they carried weapons that made the laws of physics optional. Fox Squadron, weapons free, Moon commanded. Show them what impossible looks like. The probability cascade torpedoes struck first. These weapons didn't destroy ships in any normal sense. They made the enemy vessels randomly break down by changing the statistical likelihood of their systems working. Alien ships that had functioned perfectly for centuries suddenly found their engines failing, their weapons refusing to fire, their life support systems shutting down for no reason at all. Lieutenant Commander Yoon Jie fired the first reality anchor bomb. The weapon created a bubble of frozen space-time around 3 alien ships. Inside the bubble, everything stopped. Energy stopped moving, time stopped flowing, thoughts stopped thinking. The ships hung motionless, their crews trapped in an eternal moment. But the most terrifying weapon was fired by Captain Lee Sang-ho himself. The causality inversion missile hit its target before it was launched, striking an alien destroyer at the exact moment Lee's finger touched the firing button. The enemy ship exploded in reverse, its pieces flying back together before breaking apart again, in an endless loop of destruction and repair. The alien response was swift, but useless. Their energy beams, capable of melting mountains, scattered harmlessly against Lieutenant Colonel Oh Min-woo's dimensional deflector shields. The attacks passed through portals and emerged from different points in space, often striking other alien ships. Their weapons are hitting themselves, Oh reported with satisfaction. Every shot they fire is coming back to hurt them. Admiral Shin Kyung-soo commanded the space fleet that emerged from hiding places throughout the solar system. Human ships rose from the ocean floors, materialized from inside asteroids, and dropped out of the planet's core itself. All vessels, engage at will, Shin ordered. Remember, we're not just fighting for Earth. We're fighting for every species that ever said no to these monsters. The human ships unleashed weapons that defied understanding. Temporal disruptor cannons aged enemy vessels thousands of years in seconds, turning advanced spacecraft into clouds of rust and decay. Gravity hammers created miniature black holes that tore alien ships apart from the inside out. Commander Park Ji-ho fired the quantum entanglement bombs that spread enemy ships across the galaxy instantly. One moment, a consortium destroyer was firing at human targets. The next moment, its atoms were scattered across 1,000,000 light-years of space. The aliens tried to retreat. Their faster-than-light drives powered up, ready to carry them away from this impossible battle. But humanity had prepared for that too. Captain Choi Min-ho activated the interdiction network. Thousands of generators hidden across Earth's surface created a web of twisted spacetime that locked the local area. The alien ships found themselves trapped in a maze of folded dimensions, their escape routes blocked by barriers they couldn't even see. Going somewhere? Min-ho asked over the open communications channel. We're just getting started. Dr. Bae Hyun-sik watched the battle from his laboratory, monitoring the energy readings from the alien fleet. What he saw amazed him. They have no idea how to fight this kind of war, he told his assistants. Their tactics are based on overwhelming force and superior technology. They've never faced an enemy that fights with the fundamental forces of reality itself. The alien ships were designed for conquering planets, not for battle against opponents who could rewrite the laws of physics. Their weapons were precise and efficient, but they couldn't adapt to truly chaotic warfare. Commander Cha Soo-bin led the boarding parties that took control of disabled alien vessels. Her teams moved through, ships filled with confused and terrified consortium, troops who had never experienced defeat before. Secure the bridge, she ordered as her soldiers moved through corridors that defied human understanding. We need those navigation computers intact. The alien crew surrendered without fighting. They seemed unable to process what was happening to them. How? One alien officer asked in broken English. How are you doing this? Your technology is primitive. Your ships are crude. How are you winning? Soo-bin looked at the being that had helped destroy entire civilizations. You made one mistake, she said. You thought we would fight like everyone else. As the battle continued, more alien ships fell to weapons they couldn't understand. Reality shapers turned their hulls inside out. Time bombs aged their crews to dust while leaving the ships untouched. Dimensional scissors cut vessels in half across multiple layers of spacetime. Dr. Song Mi-young coordinated the technical side of the battle from her command post. She watched as humanity's impossible weapons tore apart an armada that had never known defeat. Quantum lance effectiveness at 97%, she reported. Temporal disruptors functioning perfectly. Probability weapons showing excellent results. President Lee stood in the command center, watching screens that showed the destruction of humanity's would-be conquerors. It was horrible and beautiful at the same time. Sir, Admiral Park reported, enemy fleet strength is down to 12%. Most remaining ships are disabled and requesting surrender terms. Any word from their homeworlds? Lee asked. Dr. Yu Seowa looked up from her communication station. Broadcasting on all consortium frequencies, sir. They're trying to figure out what happened here. Lee nodded. Open a channel to their surviving ships. The main screen showed the inside of an alien vessel. The crew looked terrified and confused. These beings who had conquered thousands of worlds now cowered before human technology. This is President Lee of Earth, he said calmly. You came here expecting us to surrender. You thought we would be like all the other species you destroyed. You were wrong. He paused, letting his words sink in. Take a message back to your consortium. Tell them that humanity doesn't surrender. Tell them that we protect those who cannot protect themselves. And tell them that the age of peaceful conquest is over. The alien captain stammered something in his own language before switching to English. What? What are you? Lee smiled grimly. We're the species that says no. And now we're coming for you. The Battle of Earth was over. 18 minutes after it began, the most powerful military force in the galaxy had been reduced to scattered debris and a few terrified survivors. But this was just the beginning. Earth's weapons had been tested in battle and found devastating. Now it was time to take the fight to the enemy's home territory. The galaxy was about to learn that some forces couldn't be conquered, only awakened. 6 months after the Battle of Earth, the galaxy was a very different place. Fleet Admiral Wang Hyojung stood on the bridge of humanity's first deep space warship, the Soul's Hammer, as it dropped out of quantum space above the Kethmar prison world of Torvanis. Around her ship, 100 other human vessels materialized from folded dimensions, their impossible weapons ready for battle. Scanner readings confirm consortium presence, reported Captain Quan Da-Yun from the sensor station. 12 guard ships, orbital defense platforms, and approximately 50,000 Kethmar prisoners on the surface. Wang studied the tactical display. The Kethmar had been one of the first species to resist the consortium's peaceful integration. For their defiance, they had been enslaved, their warrior culture suppressed, their people used as test subjects for consortium research. All ships, battle formation, Wang commanded. Let's give these people their freedom back. The attack was swift and devastating. Human ships phased through the consortium defense shields as if they didn't exist, appearing directly next to enemy vessels before unleashing weapons that tore holes in reality itself. The prison world's guards found themselves fighting an enemy that could attack from inside their own ships, from the past, and from dimensions they didn't know existed. In 12 minutes, it was over. The consortium fleet was either destroyed or fleeing in panic, and human troops were landing on the planet's surface to free the prisoners. Da-Un led the first liberation team into the prison complex. What she found there made her stomach turn. Thousands of Kethmar warriors, once proud and fierce, had been turned into docile workers through years of mind control and genetic modification. Can they be healed? She asked Dr. Lim Ju-Huan, the team's medical officer. Ju-Huan ran his scanner over one of the prisoners, a female Kethmar whose natural fighting instincts had been chemically suppressed for decades. The physical changes can be reversed, he said carefully, but the psychological damage will take time. These people have forgotten how to be free. Then we'll teach them, Da-Un replied. News of the liberation spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. Species that had been enslaved for centuries began to hope for the first time in generations. Others, still free but constantly threatened by consortium expansion, started sending secret messages to Earth. Ambassador Li Hana sat in her office on the newly established human embassy on Velkoros, the former consortium capital world. Through her window, she could see construction, crews working to tear down the massive statues of consortium leaders that had dominated the city for 1,000 years. The Threnody delegation is here, her aide announced. Hana smiled. The Threnody had been master artists and builders before the consortium conquered them. Now freed from 3 centuries of slavery, they were eager to join humanity's growing alliance. The Threnody ambassador entered, a tall, graceful being whose skin showed patterns of light that reflected her emotions. Right now, those patterns swirled with colors that Hana had learned meant gratitude mixed with determination. Ambassador Li, the Threnody said in her musical voice, my people wish to thank humanity for our freedom. We also wish to offer our services to your cause. What kind of services? Hana asked. The Threnody's skin patterns shifted to show pride. Before our enslavement, we were known as the greatest weaponsmiths in this sector. We created tools of war that were both deadly and beautiful. Now we wish to forge arms worthy of those who freed us. Hana nodded. We accept your offer. But remember, we don't conquest, we liberate, we understand. We forge weapons of freedom, not oppression. Across the galaxy, similar scenes were playing out. The Vorthak, mathematical geniuses who had been forced to calculate planetary destruction patterns for the consortium, now worked alongside human scientists to develop new defensive technologies. The Muldari, whose natural telepathic abilities had been used to control other species, joined human intelligence services to hunt down remaining consortium cells. General Ro Sun Wu oversaw the establishment of the Free Worlds Alliance from his headquarters on Kepler Station, humanity's first permanent deep space base. The station itself was a marvel of engineering, built partially in normal space and partially in quantum dimensions, making it impossible for enemies to locate or attack. Current membership stands at 47 species, he reported to Earth during his weekly briefing. Applications are coming in faster than we can process them. Everyone wants protection from the consortium remnants. The consortium, once the dominant power in the galaxy, had fragmented after Earth's victory. Some worlds had declared independence immediately. Others remained loyal to the old regime, trying to maintain control through fear and oppression. A few had gone completely dark, their leaders apparently deciding that if they couldn't rule the galaxy, they would destroy what they could. Captain Moon Hyojin led the fighter squadrons that hunted these holdout fleets. Her ships were faster and more advanced than the ones used in Earth's battle, incorporating technology shared by liberated species. Contact bearing 27 Mark IV, her sensor operator reported. Consortium heavy cruiser looks like it's running dark and quiet. Not quiet enough, Moon replied. All fighters quantum jump on my mark. Let's end this. The human fighters vanished from normal space and reappeared inside the enemy ship's shields. The consortium vessel tried to fight back, but its crew had never learned to adapt. They still used the same tactics that had worked for centuries, completely unprepared for enemies that could attack from impossible angles. Dr. Kim So-ra worked with a team of scientists from dozens of species, studying the remains of consortium technology and finding ways to counter it. Their research facility, built inside a pocket dimension for security, had become the galaxy's leading center for defensive science. The mind control devices are more widespread than we thought, she reported to the Alliance Council. Nearly every former consortium world has hidden transmitters designed to keep the population docile. We need to find and destroy all of them. How many worlds are we talking about? Asked Councillor Park from the Vilcari representative. Thousands, maybe tens of thousands. The consortium had been at this for a very long time. It was overwhelming, but humanity and its allies were determined. World by world, system by system, they were dismantling the infrastructure of galactic oppression. Admiral Shin Kyung-soo commanded the deep strike forces that attacked consortium strongholds directly. His ships, now enhanced with alien technology and human innovation, could appear anywhere in the galaxy without warning. Target confirmed, he reported during an attack on a consortium research station. Beginning liberation protocol. The station's defenders never had a chance. Human ships materialized from quantum space, disabled the station's weapons with temporal distorters, and beamed liberation teams directly onto the command deck. By the time the consortium guards realized they were under attack, the battle was already over. But humanity's greatest victory wasn't military, it was political. The Free Worlds Alliance had established something the galaxy had never seen before, a confederation based on mutual defense rather than conquest. President Lee Dong-wook, now serving his second term as Alliance Coordinator, addressed the assembled representatives from across the galaxy. We gather here not as conquerors or subjects, he said, but as free beings united in a common cause. The right to choose our own destiny. The Alliance Charter was simple but revolutionary. Every member species retained complete independence over their internal affairs. Military cooperation was voluntary. Most importantly, any attempt by one member to conquer or control another would result in immediate expulsion from the Alliance. We're not building an empire, Lee explained to critics who worried about humanity's growing influence. We're building something better, a galaxy where freedom is guaranteed not by submission but by strength. The consortium's remaining leaders tried one last desperate gambit. They gathered their surviving fleets and launched a massive attack on Earth itself, hoping to cut off the head of the rebellion, They never got within 1 billion miles of the planet. Commander Cha Su-bin, now an admiral, led the defensive fleet that met them at the edge of the solar system. The battle was even more one-sided than the first one. Humanity's weapons had been refined, improved, and enhanced by alien science. The consortium forces, weakened by desertion and low morale, collapsed in minutes. "Surrender and you will be treated with mercy," Su-bin broadcast to the surviving enemy ships. "Continue fighting and you will share the fate of your warships." The consortium fleet surrendered. Their commanders were tried for crimes against sapient species. Many received exile to uninhabited worlds where they could contemplate the cost of their ambitions. A year after the Battle of Earth, High Mediator Veltar sat in a prison cell on a human rehabilitation facility. She had survived her ship's destruction and spent months as a prisoner of war before finally agreeing to cooperate with Alliance investigators. Dr. Yu Seo-ah interviewed her regularly, trying to understand the psychology behind the consortium's actions. "Why?" Yu asked during one session. "Why did you think every species would just surrender?" Veltar looked older now, her silver skin dulled by defeat and isolation. "Because they always had before,"